Let me show you how easy it is to paint this beautiful floral scene using acrylic paints. Hello, my name is Kim. I'm an artist and my goal is to help people learn how to paint in a fun and approachable way. Today I'm going to show you how absolutely anyone can create beautiful acrylic painting in just a handful of simple steps. With that, let's get started. To start, I've added some dark blue and some dark green right to my canvas, and I'm going to use a large flat brush and I'm going to blend the two colors together on the top 2/3 of my canvas. Once I have that blended nicely, I'm going to use a medium filbert brush and some black paint, and I'm going to add some details to the background. So I'm just keeping it loose here, and I just want to add some suggestion of some mountains in the background just by loosely adding them in. So don't worry too much about this part. This is just going to be the background. We're going to be covering this up. This is just to add some interest. Okay, so once your background is completely dry, we're going to move on to painting the flowers. So what I've done here is I've mixed pink and orange together to create this bright peach color, and then I put it right beside my white, but I'm not going to mix it into my white. I'm using that same medium filbert brush, and I'm just dipping into both colors together so I can grab a little bit of paint from each and then create these really nice petal effects. So what I'm trying to do is not mix them, I'm trying to add that little bit of variation. So every petal is a little bit different, and it's a really easy and forgiving technique because if you swipe your paint down on the canvas, for instance, and you don't like the way the petal looks, it's really easy to just dab in, pick up a different color combination, and paint over it. Okay, now that I've added all the flowers I want to, I'm going to use that exact same technique and brush, and I'm going to add in some buds as well. So I'm using just the edge of the filbert brush here and a little bit of the peach and the white, and I'm just swiping it on so that the bud is bigger at the top and smaller at the bottom. For the next step, I'm going to use a very small, thin brush. I have one that's thin and long, but if you just have a thin one, that's perfectly fine as well. And what I'm going to do is just dip into the peach color, and I'm going to add some stems in. So I'm just going to connect the flowers to the stems and bring them down into the bottom of the painting. And I'm just going to let the brush, as it runs out of paint, just lift off from the canvas so it looks like it's disappearing into the grass below. As I finished up these stems, I realized I wanted a little bit more variation in some of the buds as well as the petals. And so I'm just using that same small brush, and I'm just going in with a little bit of the white and just adding a little bit of a highlight to some of the petals to help them stand out more. Okay, so let's finish up those flowers. I'm gonna use that same small thin brush, and I'm gonna use some black here to help it stand out against the flower. And I'm just gonna swipe out from the center to create the pollen, the stems. I'm not really sure what they're called. And then I'm going to dip in with my brush again, and I'm just gonna add some little dots there as well, just to give it some variation, some definition, and make it look a little bit more interesting. Okay, and for the next step, I'm using that same small thin brush, and I've mixed together dark green, the same dark green I used for the background, with some white. And I'm taking a look at my painting, and I'm seeing where there is some blank space based on where I place the flowers. And I'm going to add some vines in between there just to fill in that space with some complementary colors. And so I'm using the same kind of motion I did for the stems, where I start strong and then I let it kind of disappear towards the ground as we approach the bottom of the painting. And I'm just going to fill in the space first and then add the leaves next. Switching now to a medium pointed brush, I'm going to add in the leaves to the stems using them as my guide. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking advantage of the shape of the pointed brush. So I'm very lightly touching down and then pushing into the brush a little bit, so adding more pressure between the brush and the canvas, so I get that nice leaf shape. So if you have a piece of scrap paper, it might be fun to do this first. So just touch down really lightly with the point, and then you're going to add more pressure and you're going to create kind of the bigger body of the leaf, and then lift up again and you'll create that like gentle, more delicate attachment to the vine. So this is kind of a fun technique to use. If you don't get it right away, just practice again on a piece of paper and I'm sure you'll get the hang of it in no time. All right, you're doing great. This is the last step for the vegetation. This time I've mixed some dark, cooler brown with white, and I'm gonna use that same pointed brush, and I'm just gonna, again, take a look at my painting and see where there's a bit of empty space towards the bottom. And I'm just gonna add in some grasses here and there, mixing in with the vines and the stems of the flowers. Okay, and with that, we're on to our final details. I'm gonna add a moon in the sky, and because I love painting crescent moons, but they are absolutely my kryptonite, I'm terrible at getting them just right, I've actually created a stencil. You can buy these on Amazon. I actually have them in my cart, and I'll add them to the link below if you wanna buy them and kind of cheat like me. I just made my own though for this time because I don't have them yet. I'll maybe make a short if anyone wants me to and show you how it's done, but yeah, it's pretty easy. Anyway, now that we have the moon, I'm gonna use that small thin brush from earlier, and I'm just gonna dab into the white paint, and I'm just gonna add some highlights around the vegetation just to make it sparkle a little bit more and add a little bit more magic to the painting. So I'm gonna add some dots in little clusters, and I'm gonna bring out some as well to make them look more like they're sparkling or like they're stars. And as one final step, I'm just going to take a look at my painting and again evaluate for blank space and add a few stars into the sky as well. If you had fun painting this floral scene together, then you're going to love this next art tutorial I have for you on how to paint a dreamy city sunset. So click to watch and I'll see you there.